Hey everyone, and welcome. So, you're thinking about buying a condo in San Francisco. I know, it can feel like this huge, complicated mountain to climb. But honestly, it's also an incredible journey. Today, we're going to break it all down step by step. And to make it real, we'll use a great condo at 986 Van Ness Avenue as our guide to show you exactly how it works. Let's jump in. First things first, let's just tackle the elephant in the room. Could you actually buy a home here in San Francisco? I get it. For so many of us, it feels like this impossible dream, right? But what if I told you it might be a whole lot closer than you think? Let's find out. All right, every big project, especially this one, starts with a solid foundation. And when it comes to buying a home, that foundation is all about getting your finances ready. Honestly, this is the most important step you can take, long before you even start scrolling through listings. Now, one of the most powerful tools out there for San Francisco buyers is the Down Payment Assistance Loan Program, or DALP for short. It's a program run by the city, and it's basically a silent second loan. What does that mean? It means you don't make monthly payments on it. You just pay it back, along with a bit of the home's appreciation, way down the road when you eventually sell. Yeah, let that number sink in for a second. $500,000. The city can lend you up to that much for your down payment. For so many people, this is the one thing that takes homeownership from being a someday dream to a right now possibility. It is an absolute game changer. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I probably make too much money to qualify. Well, you might be surprised. Take a look at these income limits. For a single person, you can make up to $218,000 a year. For two people, it's almost $250,000. This program is designed to help a really wide range of people get into a home. So how do you get ready for this? It's actually a pretty simple checklist. First, you have to be a first-time home buyer, which just means you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. Easy enough. Second, you need to complete a home buyer education class. And third, you need to get that super important pre-approval letter from a lender that's approved to work with the DELP program. And you got to keep in mind, this is a real program with a real timeline. These are just some sample dates. But you can see there's a specific window to apply, usually in the spring, with a lottery held in the summer. This isn't something to sleep on. It's a time-sensitive opportunity you really need to prepare for. Okay, so you've got your financial ducks in a row. Fantastic. Now the next phase begins, the investigation. This is the fun part. It's all about becoming a bit of a detective and figuring out what a property, like that one at 986 Van Ness, is actually worth. This quote pretty much sums up the challenge. What it's really saying is that there aren't a lot of homes for sale. That means the market is competitive. It's what we call a seller's market. And that's why knowing the true value of a condo before you make an offer is just absolutely critical. So, how do the pros figure out that value? Well, they use a method called the sales comparison approach. It sounds super technical, but it's just a fancy name for what we call a comparative market analysis, or CMA. The idea is really simple. You figure out what a home is worth by looking at what similar homes, right in the same neighborhood, have recently sold for. And it's not some kind of dark art. It's really just a 4-step process. First, you get all the details on the place you're interested in. Second, you go find a few similar homes that just sold nearby. We call those comps. Now, step 3 is where the magic happens. You adjust the value of those comps up or down for any differences. Like, does yours have a better view? Does the other one have an extra bathroom? Then finally, you put it all together to get a really solid price range. You've got your financing handled. You know what the condo is worth. Now it's time for the really exciting part, making the commitment. This is where you raise your hand and formally tell the seller, I want to buy your home. The way you do this is by using an official document called the California Residential Purchase Agreement. And I'll be honest, it's a long document, and it can look a little intimidating the first time you see it. But don't worry, it's the standard contract everyone in California uses to make a formal offer. The best way to think about this agreement is that it wears 3 hats. First, it's your offer. Then, if the seller accepts it, it becomes the roadmap for the entire transaction, guiding you, the seller, and both agents. And finally, it becomes the official binding legal contract. It's really the playbook for the whole deal. All right, we are so close to the finish line. Your offer has been accepted. Amazing. But before you pop the champagne and get the keys, there are just a few final costs you need to be ready for. Let's run through them. So, when you buy a condo, you're also buying into a community. And that community has shared costs. That's where homeowners association fees or HOA fees come in. It's your monthly payment that covers all the shared stuff, like the building's insurance, cleaning the lobby, landscaping, maybe even a gym. It's a really important piece of your total monthly housing cost. Now, this is a super important distinction to understand. You have your regular, predictable monthly HOA fees, but then there are special assessments. Think of these as a one-time charge for a huge, unexpected repair, like the building needs a new roof or a major elevator upgrade. It's really important to look at the HOA's financial health to see if any of these big bills might be coming up. Okay, beyond your down payment and your HOA dues, there's one last bucket of money you'll need: closing costs. As a general rule of thumb, you can expect these to be somewhere between 2 and 5% of the total purchase price. So, what does that actually look like in real dollars? Well, on a $1.5 million property, you're talking about $30,000 to $75,000 in cash. So, yeah, it's a pretty significant chunk of change that you need to have ready right at the very end of the deal. And you might be asking, what am I even paying for? Well, it's all the services that make the sale happen safely and legally. Things like the fee your lender charges, the appraisal to confirm the home's value, title insurance to protect you, all those essential behind-the-scenes administrative costs. Whew, okay. We've covered the whole thing, from getting your money right and investigating the market, all the way to making an offer and dealing with those final costs. We basically took this huge mountain and turned it into a clear path with manageable steps. So, what's your next step? Look, if this has got you thinking, you know what, maybe I can do this, then the first step is actually the easiest one. It's just a conversation. We're here to answer your questions and help you figure out what your personal journey to owning a home could look like. Whenever you're ready, just send a text to 415-944-4477.